Dredges of the internet, it's your favorites, the Dungeon Boyz. With your good lord, with your host Jair, the handsome devil.
Ooh,
and
I am handsome.
and me,
Nicholas,
who's also a host,
the handsome angel.
Aww, I am an angel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just sipped some good tea.
Some good tea.
We're back from the dead.
Oh, we are. Oh man, we have been in the dungeons so hard lately. You'll notice we did not have an episode last week, but we have been nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
It is
fun times.
It has been because this week we're opening our new escape room. Like, how excellent is that?
Yeah, and better than that, we tested it.
And
we tried it out, and it was really fun. It was, I don't know, I just think that people are not ready.
People are not ready for it. I would say, because when I finished, we have 3 rooms at our new location. The Tomb, the Bombshell, and the Blackwell Manor, which is our new one.
Right.
Bombshell, when I finished, I was like, is it good? And then I realized it is good. I'm just over analytical, since half the time I'm in the room I just like let things happen and I'm just taking it in. In the manor, the downside for me was that it was not as scary.
Not as scary as you thought it would be?
I thought it would be like pants-wettingly terrifying.
Right.
But it is creepy.
Yes.
It is super uncomfortable and beautiful.
Part of that, like part of why I think it's not as scary as you think it is, it's because we've seen it, like we've seen so much of it to begin with. Mm-hmm. But even then, even then, I think the scares themselves, they're gonna scare like people, like real bad.
There's one moment where there's a bunch of jump scares.
Yeah. And
after that, I don't think it's as much. I think it's eerie and it leaves you a little wary, but overall, I don't think it's as. Like, I expected this to, like, you're going to need to sign a waiver for your heart attack medicine. No. But that's okay. Because what it lacks in absolute terror, it completely makes up for in just ambiance and set. I'm running it now.
Oh, yeah.
And I've said it before.
Yeah, and I know there's a couple of things that they still have to work on.
Sure.
That's the reason why they're beta testing it. And I'm sure they'll get a lot of feedback. They got a lot of feedback from us, like just from like how the scares could work and like how it would be better for people to feel more immersed. That buzzword.
But I've said it before, and I'll always say it. You know, when it comes to even local competition, and for the most part majority competition, everybody else is like playing checkers, and we're on laser chess. We're playing Ket. Which we should play Ket sometime. It's a chess game where your pawns are mirrors at a 45-degree angle. Like, they're not straight on, but they're usually like... And what you do is your king, I think, is the Sphinx. And it's where the rook goes in one of the corners. And at the end of every turn, you press down on your Sphinx and it shoots a laser.
Oh, no.
And your goal is to get that laser to shoot the other
Right,
the
so
other
you got to move
Sphinx.
the mirrors in the right way. Oh,
it is quite a brain bender. I've watched my friends get really competitive at it, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, we should definitely play that one.
You're going to take a break here soon. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. Not next week. The week after that, I'll be heading to New York. I'm sure I've been mentioning that couple of times. I'm just really excited. Well, I was originally gonna see most of my family, my brother and my mom, but they won't be able to make it to New York. But I'll get to see my sister, her husband, and my little nephew. It's gonna be fun times. But you know what's even more fun than family?
What?
Stephen Colbert at Ed Sullivan Theater, and I got tickets for it, baby.
Oh, that's excellent. I had no idea where that was going.
I've had this weird obsession with Stephen Colbert since I was like 12. Since I was able to
That's right, you're a youngin'. Yep, that would be it.
Since I could watch the Colbert Report, it opened my worldview to the United States politics. And, I mean...
Here's my question.
As
a new inductee to the Venture Brother fan club, how excited were you to hear his voice on the show?
Oh, man.
And did you recognize it immediately?
I did. I fell asleep. I fell asleep because it was so soothing, and I was really tired.
That same episode is a man running around on fire screaming, so I love that your term for it is soothing. Oh, man. All right.
But no, fun times.
That's
fun
great.
Times. So when I do have to get there like super early because they oversell the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now it was my really good friend from New York, Jasenia. I've spoken about her like all the time. She got the tickets and we have to get there early because they oversell those tickets. And if people don't make it, they'll just get the people that, got the tickets.
You betcha.
Better. So yeah, we'll be lining up like if it was like an Apple product launch day.
No, because you'll be going for something quality and not like a complete waste of time.
Ooh, shots fired. What are we gonna do with our $1,000 iPads?
Our $10,000 iPads. My last question on that: Are you bringing games with you?
Oh heck yeah! I was bringing. Don't Mess with Cthulhu. Because I was already planning to play it with my brother. I'm sure he was gonna enjoy it. But even with just like my sister and my brother-in-law and his family, I'm sure they'll enjoy it.
You want to borrow Fun Unemployed?
Ooh.
You can take it off the shelf if you like.
Yes, please.
It's pretty beat up, so keep it from getting too much more beat up. But that is yours.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Of course.
I'll take some pictures and maybe I'll record some stuff and put it up on the media.
When you know it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. For sure.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anything new with you, dude?
I
mean, I just spend every single day with you. So
it's whenever we're like, what's up with you? It's the most pre-recorded thing we can come up with because we literally are attached at the hip these days. And not only that, after this room, so there's a chance they'll work on another room at Site B, but if they go back with Site A, that's our room.
Right.
And we're to go from like, man, we're so busy watching everyone else work on Blackwell Manor to they're working on our room and now we're in charge and we have to give 500% and like give a limb to this room.
We'll be drinking some tea and
we will be drinking a lot of tea.
It's a calm
I will say, with all this stress and a lot of this busy work, we have not been doing anything on summer camp. That's a prerequisite. Yeah. It's on hold. That's why I give myself very long chance to get the play testing in, make adjustments, and see where we're at with that, and see on the rules. I don't know if I can make the rule guarantee, but I know we can get some plays in before the end of the month. So we're going to see how that goes. But especially because there's some interesting developments in our agenda today.
Oh, yeah.
So first off, our first game today, we're to be talking about a game I didn't expect to bring up for a very long time, but I'm glad we did. It's Pulsar 2849. Highly massive, giant,
huge.
And then like, this is actually a pretty simple small numbers game of getting a ton of points in space. And what's up after that?
Yeah, oof. And this is a game you've been hyping up for so long. Downforce. I'm sure a lot of you guys over there listening are gonna recognize when I tell you that this game is just a blast, but let's reserve that for when we are actually reviewing it.
Yes.
But Downforce, and then we're just gonna drink some tea and then talk about the last 2 chapters of Scythe.
That's right. This is our last major episode on Scythe.
We need some like violins playing in the background or something.
Oh man!
Just like that Titanic, just sinking feeling of we're done.
It's no. It is excellent that it is over because it was extravagant. And who won at the end? We'll talk about it then. After that, we're going to be going into Unlock. Remember we talked about Unlock? We talked about the first set with the formula, the Island of Dr. Gorsey, Squeak and Sausage. Well, we're going from 1 to set 3.
Yeah.
Long story short, set 2 is on the way. But we're going to be covering No Side Story, The Tombstone Express, Wonderful Land of Oz, And yeah, if we have time afterwards, maybe we'll talk a little more about other stuff too.
Yeah,
so
for sure,
a lot of good fun stuff today.
Yeah, right.
Let's jump in. Right in at Pulsar 2849. So this is from Czech Games Edition, brought to you by, I do not know how to say this name, Vladimir Sushi. It's like if you had to guess how the Czech would spell sushi. Like that's how it could be Suki, I don't know. But he makes a lot of great games, like Last Will and Pulsar itself, and this is his big game. This is, in the game of Pulsar, your goal is to space better than everyone. You have little ships.
How do you space better than
everyone? Let me tell you, you earn points. Because in space, everyone can hear you score points. You go around and there's a board full of adventure on it. There's a whole bunch of pulsars. And there's a bunch of planets. You have ships. You have what we like to call the jellies, the little candies. They're these little tokens that you just use to mark things all over the game, but they look delicious.
Don't eat them, though.
Oh, man. That's a running joke in board game history, but those are maybe some of the most delicious looking pieces I've ever seen. But you just go around, and there's so many options. You can patent sciences. You can work at headquarters projects. You can explore the galaxy. You can set pulsars. You can have gyrodynes spinning on them. There's so many ways to score points.
What ties all of these things together, though?
The score track.
No,
and
the dice.
The dice.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, the game starts off that you roll a certain number of dice depending on the number of players. We were playing with 3 players. You roll 7 dice. There's an 8th red one. Just ignore that. But you roll all these dice, then you allocate them onto a certain part of the board where it says the 1s go here, 2s go here, and so on. Then you divvy it up, and you do a draft session, which does have a little hint of that summer camp.
Right.
We were talking about dice drafting in it. Then you end up with 2 dice. You always end up with 2 dice, and you have to figure out, in all those decisions, the reason I listed all those decisions is you have 2 dice. How can you accomplish 10 different things with 2 of them? You can't. You got to figure out what works best for you. And the best thing was that we had such an interesting ride on that. Tell me how you felt about it, Jair. What was going through your head, and how were you playing?
Right away, as we started playing, I had no idea what this game was going to be. Mm-hmm. You were just mentioning it, and like how you were very surprised that we got into it while we were not really thinking that we were gonna. But as soon as you set it up, I was like, oh wow, this is huge.
It is a messy board. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major parts of the board. There's the circle in the middle, there's the scoring, there's the dice allocation part, and it's a board that you have to assemble. And it's probably one of the messiest games.
It took a minute to assemble and then disassemble. But as soon as I started playing, I immediately kind of like tapped into when we were playing Favor of the Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. Did we mention that in the podcast? How we talked about Favor of the Pharaoh?
We have talked about Favor of the Pharaoh. We were huge fans of that.
But I tapped into that and I immediately recognized like, oh, this is a game where you have to build upwards. You have to build from the first time you roll your dice and you start your turn, you're just thinking like, what am I gonna do now that is gonna benefit me in the 8th round? Because it's 8 rounds. Mm-hmm. Every round, what was that called? That tier.
The patent. So one of the options are the science patents, mm-hmm. and the way you track the game is how many patents are allowed. There's 8 rows of them, and every round you move the track up 1, and then you can patent everything from that level downward.
The thing is that there's so many options for you to do whatever you need to do to win the game, and it's really fun that no one gets in each other's ways other than picking the dice.
Yes.
When you pick up the dice, you're like, oh,
which is
I wanted
a huge
that 6.
way.
It is, but then you can adapt and use your tactics to see like, oh, what am I going to do with the dice I got dealt with? And that's why so many options is good, because you're just every pattern that goes up every round, you're just adapting to what dice you got. And maybe one round you get the dice you wanted. But that just means that, yeah, you got lucky that one time. But then, next round you may get the dice that you didn't want. But you have so many options to do everything in the board, moving your chip, because you have the board and you have different routes you can move your ship through.
Oh yeah, all over.
Using the dice. Like if you roll a 6 and a 3, you can move 9 spaces in the board. And there's options that give you points. And the whole point is, redundantly, is to get as many points as you want. But there's ways for you to get points from moving around. Just moving around in specific spots, stopping in specific spots to set up, what were those called? The little Pulsar guys?
The Pulsars? Yeah.
Yeah, so you set those up, and those get you points every round, so it's kind of like a little engine
But
going.
it's a process.
Yeah, it is a process.
First, you have to land on a Pulsar.
Mm-hmm.
And you have little rings you get to put down for landing on it. You buy a gyrodyne, and then you put the gyrodyne in, and then during a different turn, or maybe if you did it just right, you can spend a dice to activate the gyrodyne. This sounds really complicated to a degree, maybe, but a lot of these things have very clear, this gyrodyne needs a 6. This, and to buy it, you need a 4. Like, okay, it's all very well figured out on that aspect.
The good thing about the game is that once when you were teaching it, it's like, okay, well, immediately from playing other dice chucking games, I know like, oh, I just have to chuck dice and see what I get and be able to allot them in the specific spots. But it's a kind of like a play as it goes kind of game that like there's so many iconography that you don't know what it means, but if you're looking at it, you're like, oh, what is, like, it was a lot of like Evan, we were playing with Evan. It was like, oh, what does this do? So we checked the book, and it's like, oh, this does this. So it's important to have that little book right next to you, because I don't know, I think like it would take so much time to play it to know what all those things mean.
Sure.
But then you just see all your options, and it's like, oh, that looks cool. What does that do? And then you see like, oh, well, that's going to help me maybe 2 rounds from here when I have this ready. And, I personally didn't play that way. I was just seeing like, oh, yeah, that's how I should have, like, very, like, a lot of hindsight, like, oh, I should have done that. But now, next time I play it, I'll know, like, what kind of things, like, I'll be able to do. But then you guys did a fantastic job. You guys are, like,
man, that is the closest game of Pulsar I've ever played.
Yeah, that was really close for you guys.
We came down to a point where we tied, and then there was one extra final scoring thing that Evan activated that I didn't, and had it not been for that, we would have tied, and it was great. So for Evan, for instance, he went after transmitters.
Right.
Transmitters are kind of this weird side quest. It always feels like kind of a side quest for me, where you can just put these things online. He had activated a patent science, or a science patent, that says every time you activate a transmitter, you get 4 points. And the transmitters themselves give you points.
Right.
They also give you energy cubes, which is a light little bit of a resource in the game. So he was never short of energy cubes, and he was just getting points after points after points, and he was just revving this engine really hard, and it was really fun to watch that, because they've been a factor in games before, but they were factors. They were not deciding major parts of the game, and that's what it was. It was really cool to watch, like, wow, look at all this fall together just as nicely as it did. My idea, so there's one of the big things you add to the board are in-game scoring. There's 3 tiles you choose from a multitude of them, and which side you use. But I've always played with the beginner ones, because I want people to enjoy it and I want them to have an easy time. And those were admittedly the best ones to start with. I like that, but the whole idea of the game is that the science tree, the 8 rows, there's 4, for every quadrant of it, there is 4 different sides you can do, an A, B, C, or D side. So you can play all A and B. You can mix it all up as much as you like. Today, and I've only played with the A side. So I played today with the C side, and I was like, we're using totally different tiles, because in the beginning, I've played so many times, I know how to win with an A team. With just a beginner things, there was a meta that you can easily build. But the point of Pulsar is that space is different every time. And doing so, HQ projects, it's a little tableau that's right in front of you.
In front of you, yeah.
That was my thing. And I've gone through games where I never activate a single thing on that. I ignore it the entire time. Evan
didn't activate any of it.
And that's very typical.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very used to that. But then I got points for activating them. Then there were points for having full rows of your tech tree done. And then I activated the in-game scoring that gets even more points for it. And I was like, yes. And that's how I kept up, because compared to the A game, if I was playing that same way in A, I wouldn't have hit past the 100 point. All of us got past 100 points. But overall, it was rough. And so the fact that I was like, I'm going to try a new strategy out and be able to stick to it. That's, I think, what matters, is I could actually stick to it and it was legit. Prove that this game has a lot more variety than I thought. Because lately I've been thinking, am I going to sell this? Because December is going to come up and there'll be a new flea market. And I have to figure out, how do I empty my shelves out?
Right.
What games aren't going to stay? And I was sitting here, is Pulsar going to leave? Like, the biggest issue for me with Pulsar is that, first of all, it's hard to get people to play it. It's as soon as you start bringing all the points,
it's intimidating.
Super.
Very intimidating.
It barely fit on the table.
Yeah.
It's so messy. And then, the other thing is that for a massive space game, the theme's not totally there. I would say you feel like a space accountant.
It's very loose. Like what I was telling you is that you could just, it's like a different, you can de-skin it, like have another skin. It could be summer camp. It could be like jungle, and it would still work because it does have a very solid gameplay mechanic, and I love it. But the spacing, I love it.
I would say it's not...
I don't mind it.
Devoid of it, but it is very lacking.
Right.
I do feel that sense of exploration and trying out new stuff and seeing where the sciences go. But overall, it's definitely not as rich as some of the games we've played.
I don't mind it at all because it looks beautiful. Actually,
it's a very pretty. It feels like one thing Czech always does is they just make very bored, gamey games. Like that is a board game. It's not so much the experience, story games or stuff like that. But here is just numbers and a beautiful presentation of them. And I was talking about it on the ride home yesterday. I've been pretty intrigued on how I will see a lot of reviewers talk about how a lack of theme can be problematic for them. We don't really have that much of an issue. We both love theme a lot, but for as often as we play Seven Wonders Duel, that's what we'll review in the future. Yeah. But it's a civ building game, and I rarely feel the civ building. It's all numbers to me. It's all numbers and colors and matching. But I love the brain puzzles it offers, and the fact that this game we played today really helped me on Pulsar, because I really thought I had figured the game out, and I have in one of the hundreds of combinations.
Yeah, that's a cool thing.
I usually go through and explore the entire planet, all the entire galaxy. I do all of it because that's just tons and tons of points at the end. You're all the way in the back, and then final scoring. It's like if you explored 20 planets, here's 80,000 points. But that wasn't going to do as well this time as before, where one of the final scorings is, did you explore a whole bunch?
Right.
And that was great.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
No, and it's such a tight design, I believe. That circle, like a circular board, and the dice track, like the dice track where you put the dice that you the dice that you get out, whatever. If you get a 5, there's a spot for the 5, and that way you know that those are the dice that you have. Even if you mess around and mess with the dice, you'll know that the dice.
Oh God, was there. My blood sugar was so low at the end. I don't know how, but it was, and I'm just shaking as I'm grabbing all the dice and flipping them over, and it was not hard at all.
And I believe that there might be certain games out there. I'm just kind of just throwing it out there in the open. I'm not really sure. Can't throw a name out. But I'm sure there's games where I felt like, oh wow, this would benefit from a tight design as Pulsar 2849 has. That everything feels that it has its place, and nothing feels kind of that shouldn't be there. That's just
sure.
Yeah, I don't know. There's maybe certain things, maybe build-wise, because it's huge. And for example, the pattern was all the way opposite from me, and I would have to get up and go around to see what was there.
Yes.
And that's fine. It's not like whatever. It's not like lazy enough.
I would say it has a different. Yeah. It has people are going to react to that differently.
Right.
And I think we like the idea of of this, just the massiveness of it.
Yeah.
Again, you only have 2 dice, and that's a really interesting thing. We talk about how massive and huge it is. There are only 8 turns, and you only get 2, maybe 3 dice.
Yeah.
Making the most of those in 8 turns. I remember there was that moment. It happens every time I play Pulsar with new people. And Evan realized, I only have 8 turns, and I only have this, and I don't... Yeah. This is almost like... And I've heard this as a criticism. I don't know if I'd count it as such. But that it feels more like a chapter than a full story. Which, granted, there's very little theme, so there's not like there's a tale being told. But sometimes you aren't going to feel like you got everything done. But I don't know about you. I felt pretty well accomplished at the end. I had almost my entire HQ done. I had so many science patents, and I explored a good bit.
It has that like what we mentioned before, that Euro feel that you accomplish your thing and you're done.
It is very Euro.
It's like, oh, I accomplished it. I did this. I got a bunch of points. You guys got a bunch more, but I did all I could with what I had. And for example, Evan had 5 of the
transmitters.
The transmitters, I had 5 too.
Yeah,
I got the same amount of points from that as he did, and I did a couple of really cool combos like flipping cards over and getting more dice from flipping cards over. And yeah, it feels very accomplishing, even if you don't like it out on top or anything like that.
When we talk about games like Brass and I can't come up with other ones, but when they're games that are fidgety and full of little pieces, Pulsar pretty much opens and says there's gonna be a bunch of little pieces. The whole point of this game is how fidgety it is, how fiddly it is. And so when you go into it, that's the question you have to ask. Is this a game, is that 5,000 options where occasionally you'll have to peek into the book and look in the icon? Is that for you? Because if not, when I worked at Gen Con, I taught Adrenaline.
Okay.
I taught Galaxy Trucker, which I think we'll play next week. And then I taught 1 game of Pulsar. The Galaxy Trucker and Adrenaline, there was a media appeal. People flocked to it. They had a great time. Pulsar was the one people actually kind of oh, this might be a lot. And it's just because the bigger games get, if they don't keep a tight fit, you will lose people. And that's okay. They're not for everyone. And Pulsar makes no effort at all to be for everyone, and I respect that a lot. I would say, just my biggest issue is the approachability. If you aren't ready to spend 2 rounds scratching your head and trying to wrap your mind around it, that can be a little rough. But I think a typical board game person. Also, I wouldn't say it's necessarily exciting. It's not an exciting game. Euro games rarely are.
Right.
But if you're looking for a thrilling game, Pulsar is not the first place I'm going to put you. The real thrill of it comes when you play a second or third time and switch that up. Because like I said, that was my favorite game of Pulsar I've played yet. And I think it's the first one I've lost. But it was just finally being free of the one way to play the game and not just explore, but actually go accomplish other things was really, really good. So getting to use all the rest of the mechanics that were really weak in the base game. And that's my closing thoughts on it. How about you?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm getting kind of like a little bug from Dice Shucking Game and Dice Salati, because Favor of the Pharaoh, I absolutely loved it. We played a little bit of Summer Camp, and it just clicked. It clicked immediately, and there's a lot that we can build towards Summer Camp, playing all of these other games. And I think even though you don't think that it's that much compared to, because what I said about Pulsar is that it's Pharaoh of the Pharaoh with just more components.
Oh, that's right. See, because I heavily disagree. I don't. The one thing you did say was the build up, the movement up, the progression, and that's fair. I would say with our little bit of experience in board games that I could see how Favor the Pharaoh is your progression system game. And yes, Pulsar definitely follows that. But as far as dice, for me, the only real association I put with them was that there are manipulators you can get. You can add, or there's little chits you can have that add or minus 1 pip or add 2 pips to your roll. Outside of that, I did not feel a really huge connection to...
I guess it's just because you get 2 dice and they're like basically...
They don't increase. They don't get superpowers. It's just how will you use them, how you allocate them. But that I was. It's not to say you're wrong. I don't agree. And it's a very interesting perspective on that. But I'm curious. Curious how both these games will influence your dice and progression views in games as we go through more.
Right.
So yeah.
I know, and there's a lot of other games that we will eventually get into.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I don't even know about.
But
yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a lovely game. I would definitely play it again, and I would definitely have it on my shelf eventually.
Because I mentioned like the possibilities, and your first option was, "Are you selling?"
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So I was like, wow, neat.
Yeah.
Awesome, but that was good. But you know, but what's exciting? We're talking about a thrill ride because Pulsar not thrilling, engaging, thoughtful, smart, but not thrilling.
Not thrilling.
Something about thrills.
Talk about thrilling. What is more thrilling than blood curdling race through a wide arrangement of tracks?
Oh my goodness!
And listen here, I've only played on 1 track of them. This is Downforce.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you, Downforce, who's the developer? Because I don't know.
That is made by Restoration Games.
Okay.
They're a favorite of mine. Their whole thing is that they take games that used to exist and disappeared into nothing. I think their first game was Stop Thief.
Okay.
This is just a fun story to tell.
Go ahead.
So Stop Thief originally was a game for kids that was this board, and there was a thief somewhere on the board, and there was numbers everywhere, and you had to run around, I think it was a mall, and try and figure out where he was. The game came with this big blocky phone that would make sound effects.
Oh.
And you had to listen to the sound effects. And it was like, this is the 80s or 90s, and so you have this big dorky thing that you have like 8D batteries in that's making some weird stereo sound. The new Stop Thief that they have is this more condensed board, but the numbers are all there, and there's an app. And the app makes the phone noises for you. And it's just a little more approachable. It's beautiful. The great thing is when you're just remaking a game, first you make it good, and then you make it pretty. And so their next one, I think their second or third up one was Downforce, which used to be, I think it started out as the Indy 500, then it turned into Daytona. And a lot of the mechanics of the game are there. But the first version was just a straight line.
Right.
Just one long straight line, nothing special. And then Daytona was just one giant loop with a couple areas that could choke out. We'll talk about that in a second. But it was just, you could smell the greatness on it, but it wasn't there. And then Restoration Games got it and hold my beer. We've got something special.
Yes.
So that is where we're at today.
So Downforce. This is a game that Nick has been hyping up for so long. I've seen it set up so many times because at work, there's moments where we don't have bookings, so we have a lot of downtime. And if we have enough people there, we'll probably set up some board games. If it's just the 2 of us, we'll play some that's just 2 players. But Nick has always wanted to play Downforce with everyone, and I've seen at least
we set it up twice.
Set it up twice
and
at least,
both
and I've seen it.
Got
and it's
put away.
Ooh, let's get in on that. But something happens. Maybe someone does book a room, or someone has to go somewhere, and we're never able to play it until that was last week. Mm-hmm. We played it last week. And it was 5-player? Was it 5-player?
We played with all 6.
We played with all 6.
Yes.
That was just incredible.
It was really fun to watch the power of that game's reputation. I said, hey, we're playing Downforce. Who's interested? And I just watched Evan and all the guys in the back yes. Wait, we have 4 open seats, and you can just watch the slow congregation get close. And I was
so first impressions, you think it's a racing game. What are we gonna be chucking dice? Are we gonna be what are we gonna do to move these cars around? Now, first thing you realize that it's not much of a racing game; it's more of a betting game.
Mm-hmm.
And first thing you do is you basically buy your car. Do you initially get an amount of money? How did that play out? Like you had an initial amount of money and you bet with it?
What you do is you start with everybody gets a hand of cards,
right?
And the cards have different number values for the different colors of cars. There's 6 colors of cars. During the race, you'll use these to move the cars in all sorts of ways.
They have multiple purpose.
Right. Yeah. But before that, you use them to bid. If the blue car is out and you're like, I really want the blue card, you are going to take, let's say, I don't want to bet too much. The numbers range from 1 to 6. And so I'll put a 4 out. I'll put a 4 out. And we flip it. And, you win. So what you do is you have a little clue sheet, like Yahtzee with the paper, and you'll go find the blue car and you'll put a -4 next to it. You spent $4 million to win that.
So
car.
Now the blue car is, if it's the first one to be in the bid, is that the first one up front in the track?
No. So that's also a great question. So the cars are randomly laid out,
right?
And there doesn't really matter too much. There's just one that has the starting player, the first player part on it. What you do is you shuffle up the cards of the colors and then randomize them and deal them out with a power. Everybody gets a weird, unique power that really just shakes things up.
It does. I actually have forgotten about that.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna mention it. Yeah.
And so you bid on those and then you win one, because in a 6-player game there's 6 cars. Everyone gets a car.
Right.
So we set it up, we got going, and some people overbid. Some people saw that. I always love that, because no matter what, the first car almost always goes for $6 million, which is the max. And it's just somebody really wants that really bad. I was like, okay, cool, that's cool. And it was great because Evan and I got down to the last bit, and I got my green car for $2 million. But yeah, once you do, you get your cards all back. And then the race begins. Yes, tell us about that.
So it starts off with the first person, whoever is assigned first player. How does that play out? Do you remember?
So there are a hand of cards. Whoever had the first player spot on the setup, which was me. I had the green car, and the green car happened to be there. You play a card, and then you follow the instructions on it. It's very simple.
So there's six cars, 6 colors. And each card you get, there could be 6 colors in it, 6 stripes with colors. There could be 2, or there could just be 1.
There can be 1.
And then that color has a number in it. But the thing is that these stripes are, in an order. Mm-hmm. So what you do is, for example, if the first stripe is a red one and it says 6, you're going to move the red car 6 spaces.
You move
all. It's not your card. Maybe it's not your card, but you're going to move everyone's card depending on what card you play. So a red car goes 6 spaces. Then the next one is a green, goes 4 spaces. So you move 4 spaces. Now you do this for all the cars, but here's the thing: the track has different lanes, but there's moments where there's only 1 lane
or 2.
Or 2. Now, if you move a car to a spot, a lane that is just the 1 lane, as it goes in a turn or a curve, if that first car moved 3 spaces onto that spot, the next stripe says green car, 4 spaces. And it can't go any further than that. The car is stuck, and nobody else is going to move. So you can play your cards accordingly to mess up other people's movement, or just hinder the whole
If I have if Jair has the orange car and he took it from me, he won it in the bid, and I have a hand full of cards that want the orange to move far, if we can get him stuck, I can use those cards and waste all those moments where he would have so much memento.
Right.
This sounds really jerkish. That's fair, because it is such a wacky, mean game. Throughout the game, as you move everyone, you're all cutting each other off. You're moving people into suboptimal spots. Right. And it's really interesting. How can I make this really good move for Jair here, how can I make it not as great for him? What can I do about that? It's really fun just to watch that play out.
But sometimes you think, like, from first impressions, you think, like, oh, well, I want to get my car, like, out there first, up to the end. But that's not necessarily the best thing for you.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because you're betting. This is a betting game. So you can bet that someone else's car is going to get to the finish line first.
The track is divided into thirds by 3 yellow lines. Every time one car, the first car that crosses a yellow line, everyone stops their doing, they grab their paper, and they bet. They do not a bid, but they actually bet which one on any color they want, just one. And they'll do that 3 times in the game.
Right.
And
so you're like, oh, this car is gonna go first, this one's gonna go second, this one's gonna go third. So, if you match those, you get maximum amount of money.
At the end of the game, all your bets will score if they place in the top 3.
Right.
The first bet being much more valuable because that was such a long shot, whereas the third one is right next to the finish line.
Now
you have a pretty good idea.
do also would want to get your car out there first, but it's not your main concern.
Sure.
It's definitely a concern. You want it out there because it does get you more points. And a combination of perfectly betting on yourself and managing to get yourself up to the first position would be like a winning strategy. But also have in mind that the money you use to bid for the car, that's going to be deducted from your final score.
Yep.
So if you bet $6 million and you made a bunch of good bets, you're still going to be $6 million down, which could hinder your winning tally. And just makes the game, it's not complicated at all. It's just least amount of numbers, and it's like millions of dollars, but it's just numbers.
It's never more than just 2 digits.
Yeah.
Never more.
Yeah. And you're just moving cars around. Now, the fun thing is cutting people off, and once you have the first three cars to the finish line, you're not playing your car anymore. You're not playing your bets anymore, but you're messing around with other people's cars.
We just didn't want the game to end.
It's true. You don't want the game to end. I was actually, mentioning, and this is just me going off on a tangent of, me seeing the game and seeing the possibilities of what it could be with expansions and other things, and just, adding another lap or a couple more laps or adding different things, aspects of that randomize and change the events that happen on the game. But even then, just playing that one round and seeing those last 2 players, it was Anders and who else was it?
I just remember the colors. It was yellow and blue.
Yellow and blue. And we were like, who's going to win? Yellow. You're betting on yellow.
It wasn't even to win. It was to not take last.
Yeah.
And blue almost gassed out. They almost didn't make it home because we bullied him so much. Those 2 cars, if you ever watched Star Wars Episode 1, where all the pod racers take off and one of them stalls out, we had immediately stuck them behind 2 cars. As long as you can make any sort of forward progression, you're fine. And it's in full 4 open lane, it's kind of hard to get people to get stuck. And we had successfully gotten both of them just jammed up, and watching them slug across. We had someone cross the 3rd turn, the 3rd yellow bar, when they had finished their first turn in the track. Yep. And we were all just laughing.
Yep.
My face was tired from just smiling so hard at this saga we had told. The game just tells this weird story as you go along. And we talk about, the betting system. So the first car that went across easily was orange. It was so far ahead of everyone else. But I was next up, and I was like, he's using some big numbers early on.
Right.
Think I can catch up.
Right.
So not only did I plan to get ahead of him, I talked about how great he was doing.
Right.
Because when we went to bet, I was like, yeah, dude, orange, so good. And I'm totally writing down my own car. I'm betting on green. It's great. And and people said, I thought you were betting on orange. So yeah, we pushed you ahead. I was like, I know.
Good.
Good. That's exactly what I wanted.
Now, how many cards?
There are 6 cards.
6 cards. Everyone gets 6 cards.
Oh, cards?
Yeah.
Oh, cards?
Cards.
You just divide those up evenly. You use the whole
Right. Okay. Now, no, because I'm wondering this, because there's, for example, there's the boost, the turbo boost, which is 8.
When you win your car in the auction, you get a tile that represents your color of your car. You get the power up you won, and then you get a nitrous card, we call it. And whereas all those other cards, you could be using 4 different cars, the max of 6.
Right.
It's just one card that says your color 8, and it's just you use it at the opportune time to shoot ahead.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I used that like right there at the end to get on third place because it was you on first.
It was a race between orange and green for first, and then red and black were having a fight for third. Then black fell so hard that we were almost going to have to fight yellow and blue, and it was just like this was a game from 2 weeks ago, and I remember it so clearly.
It's true.
Very much like Cosmic Counter and a lot of these games that build experiences. Is even though I would still say Downforce is still very much a game. It's a very light, medium game, but it's so wacky, and it's so much fun to just watch people get cut off and go, "Ah!" I heard so many groans. Just, come on, move. And then having to get around it. The game is not perfect. It does a lot of people complain about what happened to ours, a runaway winner.
Right.
Of course, I bet on myself all 3 times, and then I won. So it was 12 million, plus I think it's like 18 million for getting through. So it was 30 minus my 2. That's almost a perfect score. Almost a perfect score. And there was, at near the end, almost nothing anybody could do to stop me. However, I think if we played with more people who had played, that once you've played it once, it's fun to watch somebody run away with it. It's fine. We all had a blast. It can get frustrating when you play it again and again and again, and that keeps happening. The goal, genuinely, is to take each one of these cars and really try to keep it even. You're tempted to push ahead, and you can, but if the group is paying attention, then they can swarm you, and it's so interesting when the game is played in such a wacky way. It's incredible. The other factor is one of the house rules that I hear constantly implemented is that you can't bet on the same card twice. They have to bet on a different card every time. And I would be very interested to try that out. I don't usually like house rules in my games. I want to believe in the game itself can hold itself up. It's one of the reasons I'm always very reluctant to play Catan, because that game is riddled with house rules. Right. And so I just, if I can avoid it, it's great. And I don't think Downforce typically needs it. But I'm curious, how will that affect the psyche of, okay, I'm pushing my car across, but I already bid on it. Now I want to get Jair across. Right. I'm betting on red. I need to get him ahead. And I think that might offer some ulterior motives in your moves and such. But man, like that is one of the laughiest games we've played.
It was.
It was just and so it was funny. So funny too, because the guys who had totally knew they had lost, it was just, let's just see how it goes. There was so little salt going on, and it's so silly that there's no room for salt. Like, it's not a game you can be salty about. And oh man.
And thematically, it just fits perfectly, because in a race, you see the first, the second, and the third person go in, but you always want to see like the rest of it. You want to see like, there could be some fun things happening at the end.
Oh gosh.
Like maybe it's the last. Like you want to know who gets last place, so you can tell like, oh man, what a bummer of a
There's
situation.
So many times we play games where, okay, Nick won. All right, let's wrap it up. I was like, I don't. Even when I lose, I want everybody to count it up. How much did you get? What'd you do? Right. How did great? I want to see it out. And a lot of times with big, thick games, maybe like Pulsar, things like that, where people are just like, whatever, that's cool. Downforce, you want to we'll just go.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody across. We'll count it up, and we'll all laugh. And that's. Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love this game, and the hype was all all real. The hype is real.
It is. It's gonna get my Dungeon Boy star.
This is gonna get my Dungeon Boy star too.
It's time for a double star boogaloo.
Oh, there you go.
Oh man,
we got that sticker ready. You just gotta print it and send it all to the developers.
Please put this sticker. I want it to be as big as the box. Please put it on game. Good job.
Yes.
No,
this is fantastic, and I was telling you while we were playing, and like all all the things I want to do with it. Just like I would just make mods for it.
Yeah.
But that's a funny thing. We only played one track.
Yes.
So
the base game comes with 2 tracks on each side. They're a little different. They're nice. But small story. One thing we got really excited for is we realized we're actually going to be somewhat qualified to do a Game of the Year for 2018. And I was like, what can we do with that? Can we do expansions? Do we know enough? We know a few. And one of them is the Downforce Danger Circuit, which adds new powers and 2 more tracks. The game, as soon as we were done, I was like, before we do this, and I pull out the maps, and I was like, and I showed the one that takes some explaining is the Danger Circuit. It's got Hazard Road, where there's like rocks and stuff on them. You can't stop on those. You can only use them for passing. Right. So you talk about getting jammed up. This game is going to be crazy jammed. If you cannot pass, then you waste your time. And I think that game is going to be a slog. I need to play it. And everybody saw that and they heard that and you watch their eyes light up like, ooh, interesting. You flip it over to the gorgeous, like vaporwave purple blue side.
Yes, I forgot about that.
And that track has loop-de-loop, where the people in the front can cut off people in the back and vice versa, and just this wait, what? And that was whereas the other one had rule explanations. That one I turned around and everyone went, wait, what is that? And I was like, yes. There's a couple lanes where it'll split up. You can go down the 2 lane or the 1 lane. Like, are you willing to risk it? What if you get cut off? Oh my goodness. What if somebody puts you in that spot?
Right.
I cannot wait. We are going to play that, and I'm going to be surprised if we make a top expansion list of the year if that doesn't show up.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. And, it's not very, relevant to the game per se. It's more like a little fun thing that you mentioned. It's that you have your 6 car little pieces, but you said that someone was actually changing them for little Mario Kart little models of Mario Kart.
There are several versions of Mario Kart Monopoly.
Right.
And of course that means the pieces are Mario and Luigi and such in carts. They're the exact same size as the Downforce cars. Boy. And so people have been going through and not only doing that, but they've also gone and designed their own. I said you get a little token that reminds people what color you are, and they've made the characters instead of colors. It's very interesting, and
that's what I was saying when I was thinking of myself like modding this game. I want to make this game into like its own Mario Kart kind of game, and you could have little randomized items out in the road. I'm not sure what they would do. Yeah, you got the mushrooms that makes you go faster or whatever, but it's so open to so many things and so many modifications that you just said that you prefer not to. You don't like house rules, but you can just make a whole different game out of it.
Well, and that's a totally different beast. Yeah. No, I like that it's open, that it's out there, but I like that as a game. But I would totally be open to trying out different ways to go about it. It's such a simple game. This could be played by anyone with just honestly. The big requirement is the patience to understand the auction mechanic. People don't understand when you say this game has 2 phases. They think they're going to have to stop and do one, then the other, and back and forth. No. All it is buy yourself a car, then we race.
There you go.
We only played with 6 players. We were going to play it yesterday. Evan didn't want to play with 2 or 3. Because when you do, you still have 6 cars. So the idea is with 2 players, each one of you have 3. Or with 3 players, everybody has 2. Those are not as exciting. Right. But what is exciting is when you have 4 or 5 players and there's 6 cars. Which means in 4-player, 2 people have 2 cars, which means they spent more, but they have a higher chance of winning. And then the 5 cars where 1 person has 2 cars, and really trying to make that work.
Right.
That is where the cutthroatiness can really get into it. So I would say those are the optimal numbers. But really, if you just like board games, if you're the kind of person who has like Monopoly on the shelf, you're very casual with your board games, and you're like, I don't know why I'm listening to a board game podcast when I'm this casual about it, but Downforce is great. It's a holiday game. It goes with Ticket to Ride. It goes with all those. It's absolutely incredible, and it's one of the best games out in the last couple of years. So we're very lucky Restoration brought it back, and we're definitely going to be looking to more of their stuff in the coming days.
Nice.
Ooh, that loud, obnoxious sound just brings us the sweet serenity of tea time.
Tea time.
I need to find a better sound effect. It's awful. Have you heard it?
No.
Oh gosh,
I haven't.
it's this loud whistle, and I just can't find a better like tea whistle. But yeah, right. We know it isn't terrible. This tea. Ooh, that's a really hot one, but it's good, really hot for me.
Oof. All right.
So, Jair, jump in. What are you feeling?
Straight up, there's some mint in there.
Ooh.
I know mint.
Oh,
I grew mint back in Puerto Rico.
Ooh, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So definitely mint, but there's something more there. There's something
You're absolutely right.
Maybe fruity, but not. It's a very specific kind of fruity. But I can't really pinpoint it. And it just adds that extra oomph to it.
Now, someone's going to tell me I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do wash these, but I'm always wondering if I season the cup. I was watching Sherlock and they mentioned seasoning your tea cups and everything, and I'm like, is the residual fruit flavors from the other ones coming out?
Were you drinking Tang out of these?
No.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god.
No. Mint, straight up. I'm sure it has some other stuff in it, but mint is definitely like
mint.
Yeah. So what do you got?
All right. Today we are dealing with. I'm so sure you'd get this one. You're so close.
Oh man.
Peppermint.
Oh, okay. Just peppermint.
Yeah. I mean, you're like fruity. I was like, is pepper a fruit? Is mayonnaise an instrument? Yep. There's no other name for it. It's just straight up peppermint. It's probably my favorite tea.
Now you said it was today's tea was thematic.
It will be. Yes.
Oh, so.
But first off, let's talk about what the blend master has to say.
Oh, let's hear it.
The aromatic Oregon and Washington-grown mint leaves we've selected for this tea are so fresh and delicious that they require no accompaniment. The whistling, cool freshness of pure and simple peppermint from the great Pacific Northwest is yours to enjoy. We basically just dumped a bunch of leaves in your water. Enjoy. Great. I learned when I collected all these teas that there's some fun mixes you can get going with and everything, you know, lemon, lavender, jolly good gingerness or whatever nonsense. But yeah, it always brings me back when I was a kid and learning how flavor works. And this is so sad and pathetic. I'm really upset I'm putting this on a podcast. But I like to call it the Hot Pocket theory.
Okay.
Hot Pockets. You had them?
Yeah.
You had your pizza one. Yeah. You had your hamburger one. You had like all these different flavors. Broccoli, cheese, ham. You know what the best flavor of Hot Pocket is? Cheese and ham. It's just these two ingredients. You don't have to what is that? Am I getting all of the pepperoni in this pepperoni pizza? And I was a fat kid and I was just eating these all the time. And I realized, despite all the cool names, Nacho Verde Queso, ham and cheese. It's solid. It's got the groundwork and it doesn't mess with you. And that's why I love peppermint. Yeah. I love, lemon, ginger. I love all of these, but just here's a flavor. I get it. I can smell it.
Peppermint.
It's good at all levels. It's really great at piping hot. Piping hot peppermint. Ooh, is so good. But it's my absolute
peppermint
favorite.
Is your ham and cheese.
It's my ham and cheese. I'm really upset I talked about this. I didn't expect to. This is not where I wanted this to go.
Oh, but it's good. It's delicious. I love me some peppermint too.
Where does this?
Well.
I didn't ask you to name it. I'm very sad.
Yeah.
But.
Now I'm losing track of all these teas we've been drinking. But like I mentioned, I think last episode, we're gonna be having top tier, middle tier, and bottom tier. top shelf, bottom, middle shelf,
and it could expand if something's in between.
Yeah,
but currently there are only 3 tiers.
Let's see. I would, I'm not super like. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I used to grow peppermint, mint, but it was this kind of weird strain of mint that is like actually really good for your like stomach pain. So if you got like,
sure,
if you're like hungover, you just take a leaf and you bite on it, and just soothes you. Ooh. So mint for me is more medical than like flavorful. And sure, like there's bubblegum and whatnot. And it's not that I hate mint. It's just that I like, for example, there's like mint ice cream.
Yeah.
I can't eat that. Like tastes like
man,
toothpaste.
It's got to be super, super particular for me. I've got to be in the mood.
Like, why do I want toothpaste ice cream?
I don't know, man. It can be a refreshing flavor. All the big gooey, sugary ones. The one that can like trick you into it being refreshing. I think it's got a time and place. Now, don't get me wrong. If you've been living your mint life, yeah, I get it. But for someone who hasn't, I agree that it is not the primo stuff.
Right.
But it is like you have so many fruity ones, and you're like, okay, these all taste the same if they're not banana chunky monkey. Yeah. But no, I think mint has its place on those.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Now, for example, in drinks, because mint hot chocolate, that's just over the top delicious.
Ooh, yeah.
Orange mint tea is also like really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is just plain mint, and it's fine. I am going to put it in the bottom shelf, and it's not that it's bad. Like, as long as it's there. Oh, like, if there's a tea that I hate, I'm not even going to put it in the shelf.
Oh, I believe you should have a trash bin.
Should have a trash bin for tea.
Tier, yeah.
This tastes disgusting. I am not even going to, like, bother finishing it. You're going to have to, like...
Oh, you're describing your trash bin one. Or
no, not this one.
I was going to say, yeah, the way you were talking about it right there.
Bottom shelf. This one's bottom shelf.
Okay.
This one's the ones I give away for friends.
This is
and
okay
I'm like,
to be wrong.
Yeah, you can have that one.
Guess what you're getting for Christmas. I have like, you've seen my shelf. I have 4 open boxes of peppermint because I love it that much. It's so good.
Oh boy. So, all right. Well.
Yeah. So I said this was thematic because we finished Scythe.
We finished Scythe.
We did. Let's talk about it. So episode 7. Episode 7 was, I believe, we were searching for something. I don't want to spoil what. And that was a weird game because I said I wasn't going to complain about things, and then Evan, there was a way to make alliances in it. I'm not going to go into that. But Evan and Adrian both made alliances right away. And I was like, I am so upset about this. So then I made an alliance with Jair, because Dungeon Boys.
Yeah.
And Greg, did his Greg thing in the corner, cheering for him, like, come on. But we made an alliance. But those two, it wasn't so much that I was being picked on, it was that now that he was working with Adrian? When now he was working with Adrian, he really had to just keep an eye on the two of us. So I could point and say, oh, you're picking on me. Really, genuinely no reason to go on the opposite side of the board. The two of them are facing each other now in the new map. There's not a new map, but play the game, you'll understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a tense game. And then he Evan put us. Typically in these games, you're put in a position where everyone's going around. They're like, "Uh-oh,
yep,
game's gonna end.
Yeah,
oh no, we messed up."
Yeah, it's really funny when you know the game is gonna end a couple of turns.
Yeah,
away,
a couple of people. Yep.
And you're like, "Oh man," because
sometimes
I think the first couple of games, no one saw the game ending coming. It was like, "Oh, the game's gonna end this turn." Oh,
and I got my big old grin.
But then chapter 7, it was like...
It wasn't that, it was that it was threatened.
Right.
He put him in a place where he could threaten it, and there was nothing we could do.
Yep.
I messed up with the way I set up my board. I could have really just threatened the crap out of him back. But, Evan won it super convincingly, and he earned that. That was it was so good because Evan was still stretching his legs, getting used to what he was doing now. It was so different from how he was playing before. And then, wow, here it is. Yep. And just, oh my God, okay. You really understand what you're doing. And then being enabled by Adrian. And then I talked with Evan afterwards. We both agreed the game helped him win. He had an encounter card that let him cross a river.
Right.
He did not have any ability to do that beforehand. But then all of a sudden he just got a free trip out of his area. And I remember seeing that like, no. I planned this out. I'm the Rustviet. I'm first to the factory every time. And I'm going to be the one to hold it down. I didn't have time to get everything set up. And all of a sudden there he is just storming down. I was like, no, this is not how I planned it. And that's great. That's the imbalance of encounter cards is excellent, and I love it, even if it's at my disadvantage. But that was just a solid game of Scythe. I wouldn't put it anywhere near my top ones, but it was just a lot of really thoughtful.
Really quick happened.
The mechanics of that one, really screwy.
Yeah, I mean, I play terribly, dude. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I didn't get a single darn star out there.
That's right.
But I could have in the turn after Evan finished it, and he could have not finished it easily, but he decided to, and I was like, But still, I learned a lot from it, and then
it was definitely
coming to episode 8. Well, I was like,
man, episode 8, the finale.
Oh man,
what a game that was! Things get really wacky, and Evan got a bonus for being from winning the 7th chapter. But that was one of my favorite games of Scythe. That was definitely in my top 5.
It was really fun.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I had all these plans. I had a plan to try and drop 3 stars at one point. I figured out a fun engine I could do, and then I realized somehow in the process, I would be letting everyone else do really well. I was like, I've got to actually spread myself out.
Right.
I've got to do other things. But I think as great as it was, and it was a great game, a lot of people played well. Greg played the best game of his life.
I think the most fun out of it is that it changed so many things. Like it just randomized so many things and how
it told
would play out.
You know how to play Scythe now.
Yeah.
We are going to throw everything at the wall. Whatever sticks, you have to go with.
Right.
I don't want to spoil past that, but just when we all understood that, I was like, okay, here we go. And it was a different game than we've ever played before.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that module again and again.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Yep.
I love that amongst all the amazing boxes we opened and everything, there's 2 punch boards that was just like, yep, these are the best. God, it just completely changes up Scythe in such a fantastic way. But that game was very cathartic for me. On the money alone from the game, I took second.
Who got first?
Adrian took first. 8-point difference. I think maybe actually Evan may have beaten me by like $2 too. But I ended up with 80. He ended up with 88. But it was so cathartic because my politicking has been garbage ever since all you guys learned this game. And I got on Adrian's good side, and then he moved all of his units out to a certain spot, leaving a worker in the factory to end it. Like he was like, I think this is good. I'm just going to keep control of this. And I look at Greg. I say, Greg, look at that. Look at that little worker there. And how you've never had the factory.
That was that last hurrah.
It was the last. It was like
Nick politics.
Hey, Greg, because I was like, yeah, Adrian, we're best buds.
Economics.
Yeah, good job. Now, Greg, go kill him. and Greg was trying to argue like, why? Because you score points, and that's the point, Greg. But he did it, and then he went and then he went after Evan.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, the game is going to end. You need to have as much territory as you can. And it's even better, as I've learned against Evan, The more property you can take from other people is not only a benefit to you, but a negative to others.
Yep.
And he's sitting there like, but can I? But should I? I was like, yes.
That's like the only thing you can do.
Do it. Do it. And he finally did. I was like, yes. Am I being politically manipulative? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? No. That's the best part, is when you are absolutely right.
You know what's the best part, though?
The next turn.
You got him to do that, and he got to the factory.
He burnt every one of his battles, all of his battle abilities and everything, and exhausted. And
it was right next to him.
Right, yeah.
It was right next to him. I'm like, oh, hey, you're in the factory, huh? Let me get all my mechs. No, not all my mechs, just 2 of them. Let's just get them. But that was intense, though. That was intense.
Yeah.
Because I knew the game was gonna end.
Not only that, but I had like 12 power. Adrian had 1, and all you guys had 0. So you're all running off battle cards. So this game had so many battle cards.
Yep. So the thing is, I was probably. Let's see. I was a mech out because I had a mech in the home base.
Uh-huh.
If it wasn't in the home base, Evan hadn't fought it, I could have just ganged up on 2 people at the same time and gotten 2 battle stars at the same time.
True.
And that would have...
You would have taken third. It's third or second. Yeah, you would have been up there.
But I could have risked it because I could have battled Greg with just 1 mech.
Uh-huh.
And then just risk it and be like, all right. Or like what I did, I'd not risk it. I just played 2 guys in there, and I beat him with my battle cards because I had a bunch of them.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise, I would have ended the game. If the game hadn't ended on that turn, I would have ended it on the next one.
You would have
for sure. And
I had built this engine. I loved it. So I got to do everything I love in Scythe.
Yeah.
1. Be backstabby. Adrian, we're best buds. Greg, go mess him up. Jair, go mess him up. And again, totally manipulative, but correct. Absolutely correct. And then also get my secret ending going. Evan kind of saw it. He wasn't sure. But I put myself in a position that no one could absolutely possibly stop me from ending the game. They could try to end it faster, but that's only if I allowed them. Because we got too late. Because Evan made a mistake. Because I had 2 stars left, and I got my final enlist. I threw my star out. Well, I forgot to throw my star out. And he was looking at me at a point from I had 2 stars left. When I threw it out there, he's like, oh my god, no, I didn't realize you only had 1 star. I would have totally did my move different. I realized what he would have done. I was a good sport. And I let the game go 1 more round, and that's when all that fun stuff happened. But also put him in a position where you don't get to do anything except that thing. He wanted up his popularity. He was like, both of us were on level 1 going to level 2. And I was like, okay.
I was on level 2, just 1 away from 3.
I know. And we were like, I was like, if you want that, you can have it. But you also knew that really your best interest was to get more stars and stuff. And he looked at it like, could I go and do things? Could I go and mess this up? And I was like, don't you dare. Yeah. Don't you dare. I gave you this. And, oh man, just, because he was the only one that saw that I was going to end the game. And I was like, yes. Good. But, and then afterwards, the last game, you take all the money you've earned, and then you add in your, what's called a triumph log.
Right.
Whenever you accomplish achievements in the game, triumphs, the stars, you put them into a graph throughout the campaign. And whenever you basically make a bingo, a horizontal or a vertical bingo, you're going to have $25 added to your end score.
Right.
That was really the determining factor because I had the closest person I think had $100 or $125 out of it, and I had $175.
Wow. Yeah.
It was ridiculous, insane. And so this tea is thematic because it's my favorite tea. And my favorite Scythe is a Scythe where the Rustviets win. So 8 chapters. 8 chapters of Scythe under our belt. And your boy is the grand champion. Which is funny because...
Bravo.
Thank you. Let's see if I can get the Russian anthem on that one. But... I think The game, the Fenris is absolutely. We're talking about expansions. I'm going to be surprised if Fenris is not number 1 or number 2 expansion of the year for us, with the experiences we've had.
Yeah.
But I think the weird thing for me was that it kind of came down to a little bit of a simmer at the end. But it came down a bit to the simmer. The really intense stuff, I would say, were kind of like the missions, maybe like 3 through 5 and such.
2 5, yeah, because I missed 4, was it? And that was the one, and it was really
again,
short.
if you were playing with like multiple games, if you were willing to have multiple sessions, that would just be one small chapter.
Right.
But I think a lot of the exciting things and the interesting turns, as far as a campaign, it's a good campaign, and I enjoyed it. But like once we understood the groundwork for that final episode, I was gonna let it. I thought like if everyone teamed up and held me down and said, okay, just make sure he can't do anything,
single coin,
you would just know. Then maybe. But I also don't know if the team can collectively shut down one person.
Right.
That's why I pushed so hard against Evan. I was politicking so hard against Evan because I knew we couldn't do that. But what could we do to the best of our ability?
Right.
And even then, it wasn't much. He was still able to just run around and do whatever he wanted. That game is Fenris is absolutely special, and it was a privilege to play that. So this is our. We're talking about doing a mini episode that's just the Scythe. It will be spoiler ridden, just tons of it, just being explicit.
Yeah,
with everything.
no. So if there's things that we missed out, like from this episode, just talking about these last 2 games, is because we want to expand on that whenever. Like if we have the Boyz
because we want you to have all your genuine discoveries if you decide to pick up Fenris, which you absolutely should if you think Scythe is for you. You play Scythe, learn to play a few times, pick up Fenris, get some friends. It's incredible. I feel like we experienced a whole wacky war there. And the fact that the ending, like the end stuff, I was hoping like, if this team won, read this out loud. I was really hoping for that. And it was this like weird Myers-Briggs nonsense that was like, okay. It tells the guy who did the best at one thing, wow, you're cool. Everyone else, But it was fine. Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah.
We were just reveling in it. Mm-hmm. I think I was reveling in it, and everybody was like, yes, we know it.
It just acts on the bulk of how incredibly thorough this game is with the lore, the build, the design of just the experience itself, the experience of Fenris.
Completely.
Yeah, I mean, this is something like, comparing to any DLC on a video game, I think I haven't been able to play any DLC on any game that comparatively gives so much.
Yes.
So much to the core game itself.
To the core game, exactly.
And this is a board game. So
it's a board game.
It's like,
it's
so awesome.
It offers more than what a legacy can. Mm-hmm. And just like we've talked about it before, the permanence of it. We're talking about everything that made this game, the campaign. We're going to use them again. Yeah. Out of the canon, everything. We're just going to use them. And they want you to. The game says, hey, if you don't care about the campaign, go to this page. It'll tell you, open each box. Here's what it does.
Right.
Which, of course, I would never do. But if that's your thing, it's just a whole bunch of little things that once you understand Scythe will mess with it. Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stonemaier Games, Jamie Stegmaier, and all the people who worked on Scythe, because that was a real privilege.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's really good. It's really nice that we've actually reached to Jamie for a couple of things, and it's like, it's funny to have the developer.
If you have rule issues at all when you play Scythe, take a picture, put it on Twitter, tag Jamie. He answers.
Yeah.
And as Adrian said, wow, how surreal is it that we have the game developer on speed dial? And it's absolutely true. Yeah, but that's awesome. We make jokes about that, but I love the age we live in for that.
We appreciate it a lot.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no more Scythe, but that means more games.
More games.
We've been saying that for the past couple of weeks.
Now,
we love this, but we're so ready to put it all behind us.
Now there's a lot of like big games that we'll probably put on. Well, I don't know if it'll get to the level of Scythe ever. Well, who knows?
As far as recurring, I can tell you right now. Right over there, next to Scythe, there is a little game called Rising Sun.
Oh, I see.
You see that black box that's vertical? That's more Rising Sun.
Oh,
See that tube in the corner of my room? That's Rising Sun.
Wow.
Ooh,
okay, no, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that.
It's going to be a game, maybe like 2 if you want to get some expansions out. But ooh, yeah, you are in for a treat.
Yeah, I know. But also, I would also love to do like a Twilight Imperium, just
you betcha.
A big episode for it. A big episode for all the crazy stuff that happens with it, and find the right people to play it with. People that.
And as Evan was talking about, I've talked about it for ages. Blood Rage, which is also made by the same guy who did Rising Sun.
Nice.
But yeah, that brass, Inish, Cyclades, we got so much coming down the pipeline,
really
and now we're not held back by a campaign. So good, awesome. But on the lighter side,
let's turn it down a little bit. We're going to talk about.
We remember back a couple episodes, maybe I think it was the first episode. We talked about Unlock, the escape room game.
Yeah.
They come in sets. The first set is what we talked about, which was Squeak and Sausage, which is still, I think, close to one of my favorites. The Formula, which is, I think, one of your favorites. Yeah. And the Island of Dr. Gorsey, which is very close up there for both of us.
And very difficult.
Oh, it's so difficult. It's so sad because the big news is we now sell these at the escape room.
Right.
And they are flying off the shelf.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness. They sell themselves. We sell them. And it's absolutely incredible. The worst thing about the set 1, though, is that a lot of people are turned off by the clown-looking doctor, and the Formula has a very bland cover. So everyone's like, "Man, that island one looks great." I was like, "Not your first." But I don't worry. I'm smart.
Yeah,
like,
what's the hardest one? Give me the hardest one.
No. They're just like, it's pretty. It'll be fine. I'm like, you're never coming back. But no, it's cool. But they come in different sets. Set 4 is coming out sometime in the future, but set 3. Yeah, we have finished. We haven't finished set 2 yet. We're going out of order. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But set 3 is No Side Story, which is a sequel to Squeak and Sausage. Yeah. Tombstone Express and The Wonderful Land of Oz. And boy, yeah, we played those. I mean, we can't really divulge too much. We talked about what can we say. There are some of these that have a little more than just cards. What is that? To find out.
You can see how on set 3. Well, we haven't played set 2, so we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't know what they offer.
But you can see how the Unlock franchise itself has developed itself more than what the base games were. All the 3 base games, very simple. You have a deck of cards. You go through the puzzles. You go through the clues, and you do the game. Set 3 just adds certain things that, like we said, we're not going to spoil, but it just...
Well, one thing is, not only are they adding wacky components, sometimes they're silly, which were great.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're ridiculously useful and helpful.
Right.
And one of them doesn't, it's just another deck of cards, which was absolutely fine. The most important thing for me, and it appeared we played one game from set 2. We have the rest of them coming in.
Which one?
Haunted House.
Oh,
House on the Hill.
Right.
That is an excellent standard one, but that'll be for our set 2 review. Unlock set 3 really has gotten close to mastering the use of the machines. So there's different kinds of cards. There's blue cards and red cards, and usually your goal is to try and find if 2 of them match up. I have batteries and a flashlight that doesn't work. Oh, look, you put them together and you have a flashlight that turns on. Like, duh. There's yellow cards, which are codes. These are codes you have to lock into your game. You have to find the combinations, that sort of stuff. Cool. The green ones are machines, and basically these are puzzles that can't be abstracted to just a card. And the problem was in set 1, they're great, but they tried to put it in a way that if you don't have an app, you'll be fine.
Right.
And it was really uncomfortable, especially if we didn't give you like a precursor to it, like, hey, just, do the machines. Just trust us, do them. But you don't need to. Like, you kind of don't need to, but you kind of do. You don't know when you do or don't. It's very uncomfortable. And that's the worst thing about set 1. Set 3, the puzzles are excellent.
Yeah.
Super snappy. There's one on the Tombstone Express that I've been trying to design for a long time. Right. I've been trying to describe to people, and only when the Tombstone was out, I was like, this is what I've been trying to do. This is legit, and I feel smart that it's finally here. they do that a lot, and it's excellent. I'm really, it leaves me super excited for set 4 on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so I think, not spoiling a lot or just not speaking a lot of it. My favorite from this set is A Wonderful Land of Oz.
Wonderful Land of Oz is another level
journey,
3. But,
dude. It's a journey. It's like, and I played it on my own, and it kind of asks you to play with 4 people.
Island Dr. Gorsey requires 2 people at least. This one can be 1, but as soon as you start playing, it's like, you sure you don't want more people? If you can get more people for Oz, great. It's not required.
Right.
I would have gotten out. I did not get out of Oz. I was 3 seconds off. 3.
But this is it's such a tight line of storytelling, and it's Wizard of Oz. It's like whatever. Everyone knows Wizard. Well, not everyone, but it's such a big word, ubiquitous story.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now,
for me, it's the grandeur of its presentation, of the story, of the puzzles. There's so much to that game. There's more to that game than maybe 2 level 1 games.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And it's not too overbearing. It gets you paranoid about a few things. I can't go into further about spoiler, and you shouldn't be. But yeah, Wonderful Land of Oz is definitely in my top 3. It's incredible. My favorite, though, I think, was Tombstone Express.
Yeah.
That's the level 2 in this one. It's frantic. It's not as grand. I mean, if you like just the presentation and beauty, Oz is the best game to come out of Unlock ever.
Right.
Tombstone Express was just, it kept you on your toes. Wait, what? Oh my god. And your turn, it's pretty much like, imagine you're running down an alley. You just have to make quick turns left and right. Wait, no, what? You were playing with our manager Zoe, and she was just like, "What?"
We were freaking out.
And it does so much, and there's all sorts of crazy things you have to do in that one. And I if you like excitement, I would say Tombstone Express is the one to go with. I will say, of all the games we've played, No Side Story is good.
It is.
It's the sequel to
the first one I
Sausage.
played.
It's the first one you played, and you got out.
Yeah.
I did not. I will say it's possibly the weakest game of the unlocks that we've played so far for me. It does have some of the best puzzles, though.
It does, yeah.
We stole a puzzle from it pretty much. No, not, but we were influenced by it. We're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense if we use it in this sense. And you'll find escape rooms just do this all the time. All of them do.
Yep.
But we use that idea further in ours, and it's excellent. But I think the times when No Side Story drags, it really drags.
Yeah.
Basically, if you are about unlocks and you're playing them, there's no reason not to play No Side Story.
No.
But I don't know if I'd make it another person's first. It was the fact that it was a free one to play. And I was like, here, go ahead, just play it.
What would you say a good first one would be?
I still say Squeak and Sausage is excellent. The very first card in Squeak and Sausage, for me, sells it. I guess I can say this. There's a hidden object in the very first card, and it's all you can do. And you realize, okay, I'm not going to see things explicitly. Sometimes I have to look for them. It's right there.
Right.
Here I go. And from there, it builds this basis on how you do these things. Whereas No Side kind of definitely is a level 1, but it wants more of you. I would also argue that the House on the Hill, which is set 2's level 1, is also, it's a good standard of what escape rooms even are.
Right.
It's very much like, whereas the No Side and the Squeak and Sausage, the Island are not escape rooms. No. They are experience. The Wizard of Oz is not. You're going on a whole journey.
Not at all.
But the haunted house does feel like you're entrapped in the spot, and I like that a lot. But I do, Unlock Set 3 is also fantastic. Yeah. It lives up to the hype, and I'm so excited to get Set 2.
Set 2 has is that the one with the submarine?
It is level 1 is the House on the Hill.
Right.
Then it's the Nautilus experience, and then I forget the name, but it's pretty much a Treasure Island theme, pirates and parrots and such. That's what we're looking at there. Really excited to get into those, and I like those themes. They sound really exciting. Yeah. But we've had Set 3 at Site B, and we've had Set 1 at Site A, and now we're going to have literally every available unlock here. Hopefully Thursday. If all the shipments come in Thursday, we will have all of them, and just being able to hold them all. I'm hoping to get some pictures just with every game. Just how cool that would be. But yeah, it's been such a fantastic morale boost to the team to be like, wow, look at this awesome product we can just give to people. Wow, you had a great time in the tomb? Here, take the experience home with you. Right. Here's a haunted house one you can do. It's stuff like that. Right. Really excited to see how these...
And it's a kind of like a two-sided benefit out of it. Like we get them in the rooms. Yep. They get the unlocks. They play the unlocks, and they're like, oh, I want to do this again. And, I don't want to do it on my phone right now. Let's do it real life. Yeah. So let's do an escape room and then get another.
It's advertising, too. Yeah. Because, like, if you have friends who don't know what an escape room is, you can hand them this. An escape room is $25 for you.
Right.
$25 for you. For all your friends, for a minimum of 4 people,
and that's average all across the country.
$15 gets you a little unlock box. As many people as you want can play. I still say no more than 2, maybe 3. Fine on your own. You play it, and you will get an experience that's similar enough that you can walk into an escape room and like, I can't trust immediately what's around me. It's going to be useful in some weird way that I don't immediately expect, and that's great. So I'm super happy with that. We got to crack open we have a copy of Exit the game. Right. We got to play that.
Yeah, we got to
really
play
excited to do that.
Yeah, it would be a whole different experience for sure.
But I'm enjoying it there. The way we wanted to end it though, we were talking what happens after Scythe. Well, we're gonna play some games and stuff. Yeah. But lately, because I work at Etten pretty much, we're friends with the Etten crew. Who have 2 locations, one in Houston, as well as here in Albuquerque. They sell board games, card games, figure games, everything good. But there's also RPGs. And the RPG scene here in Albuquerque is insane. It's pretty heavily into Dungeons & Dragons. But for me, once I played 1 session of Dungeons & Dragons. It's good. It's good. It's not bad, and it's great. However, when you've done enough board games where there's all these different themes and all this different excitement and uniqueness, Dungeons & Dragons kind of feels vanilla. Right. It comes out of ignorance, only playing once, that sort of thing. But there's all these different versions you can play with. And one that we've decided to invest in is I have what's called Kids on Bikes from Renegade Games. And they have... This is pretty much your own Stranger Things.
Right.
And with we're going to be crafting our own little worlds. And it's not so much about combat and how hard do you punch the Demigorgon, but more how are you going to solve the puzzles ahead of you with the relationships you build with the characters around you. And I'm super intrigued by that.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited.
For, a lot of these games, you need a character book, you need a story book and all that. It's this tiny, tiny paperback book. It was $20. And we're going to be diving into that. I'm super excited.
For sure.
And I'm curious. I'm not telling you there will be stories here. We made promises we'd take pictures of our codenames to what things. We've not done that. It's kicking our butt right now. But no, with this, if we get around to it, I'm very curious. I've got a couple really interesting ideas.
Yeah.
But when I'll say one on the podcast because I'm going to be the game master. I'm going to be running it. I was thinking, since a lot of people are world building and building little towns, why build a little town when I can just give you the map of my old hometown of Cut Bank and be like, okay, we are in Cut Bank, Montana. This is tiny. It makes something of this.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, snowman or something, whatever. But we'll figure out. And then I'm just curious if I can find these little towns and world build off of them. How will that work? And so I'm pretty curious.
Nice.
So,
That's good.
But... yeah, I it's a weird note for us to end on, and I like that. It's to a new future.
For sure.
Yeah. But hey guys, it was a pleasure, Jair, as always, and take care, guys.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.